In the United Kingdom, it is technically legal to shoot a Scotsman with a longbow on a Sunday, provided you are standing in the city of York. This isn't a myth, it's a living, breathing ghost in the legal code. You think you're free, moving through a world governed by logic, but you are walking through a minefield of archaic, disturbing, and frankly insane statutes that have never been repealed. Why do these laws remain? Why are we still tethered to the whims of dead men? We aren't just talking about quirky local rules, we are talking about systemic madness. It's a reality that most people ignore, but once you see it, you can't look away. The legal system is a labyrinth, and we are just the rats trapped inside. Let's start with the rules that make absolutely no sense when you look at them under a microscope. In Switzerland, it is illegal to own just one guinea pig. They are social creatures, and the law views keeping one in isolation as a form of animal cruelty. It's a strange, empathetic law, but it highlights a terrifying truth: the state is watching your living room. They are measuring the social interactions of your pets, dictating the quality of life for a rodent, and asserting authority over the private domestic sphere. This isn't just about animal welfare, it's about the state's insatiable desire to micromanage the natural world. If they can tell you how many guinea pigs you must possess, what else are they hiding in the fine print of your local bylaws? Then, look at Victoria, Australia. You can be fined for wearing hot pink pants after midday on a Sunday. Why? The origin is lost to time, but the penalty remains. It's a reminder that your most mundane choices are being monitored by regulations that serve no purpose other than to control. Imagine the surreal experience of being cited by an officer for your choice of legwear, a choice made in a vacuum of fashion, yet treated as a public nuisance. It's a reminder that you are not the master of your own aesthetic. But that wasn't even the worst part. Some of these rules are designed to break your spirit. In some parts of the world, you are legally required to smile in public. Imagine the psychological toll of a government mandate on your facial expressions. It's not just weird, it's a violation of the soul. It forces a performance of contentment in a world that is often miserable, creating a dissonance between your internal reality and the external, state-mandated mask. How deep does this control go? We are moving into the territory of laws that should have died centuries ago. These aren't just relics, they are active, dangerous, and waiting to be used against you. Consider the fact that in many US states, you can still be arrested for vagrancy simply for being poor. These laws were written in an era of industrial exploitation, yet they persist in the modern day, acting as silent traps for the vulnerable. They allow law enforcement to turn existence itself into a criminal offense. If you have nowhere to go, the state makes sure you have nowhere to stay, creating a cycle of poverty that is reinforced by the very statutes meant to ensure public order. It is a weaponization of status, a way to keep the undesirable out of sight, out of mind, and out of the public square. And then something even more disturbing happened. We found that in certain jurisdictions, the right to hunt witches or heretics was never officially struck from the books. It's a technicality, sure, but what happens when a technicality becomes a weapon? These ancient laws provide the framework for a society that claims to be progressive while clinging to medieval superstition. It creates a chilling precedent where the past is never truly buried. If a society keeps a law on the books that justifies the persecution of others, it maintains the psychological infrastructure required to justify such actions again. You might think you're safe because you're a law-abiding citizen, but how can you obey laws that contradict each other? How can you respect a system that is literally decaying around you? The contradictions are everywhere, hidden in the fine print of local ordinances that would make a sane person weep. We are talking about fines for things you didn't even know were crimes. In some parts of the American Midwest, it is illegal to carry an ice cream cone in your back pocket. It sounds like a joke, but the fine is real. It stems from old laws designed to prevent horse theft. Thieves would lure horses away with the treat. The horse is long gone, the era of the buggy and the stallion has passed, the economy has shifted to combustion and electric motors, yet the law remains, a persistent, rotting appendage of a bygone era. It serves as a reminder that the law does not evolve, it accumulates. It is a sedimentary layer of bad ideas, each one stacking upon the last, burying the common sense of the populace under the weight of history. And this is where the mystery deepens. Why do governments refuse to clear the clutter? Is it pure laziness, or is there a darker reason for maintaining these traps? Maybe they want us to be constantly on the edge of breaking the law. Maybe compliance is easier when you are terrified of every step you take. When every citizen is potentially a criminal, the state holds the ultimate trump card. They don't need to enforce the laws to use them, they just need them to exist as a threat. The fines are just the surface, the real cost is the constant, low-level anxiety of living in a world where the rules are written in invisible ink. Let's look at the bizarre prohibitions that dictate your daily behavior. In some regions, it is forbidden to die. Yes, you heard that right. In Longyearbyen, Norway, dying is prohibited because the permafrost prevents bodies from decomposing. It's a logistical nightmare that has turned into a legal absurdity. You are forced to leave town before you expire, or you become a legal anomaly. Think about the implications of that. Your very biology is considered a nuisance to the state. It's a chilling reminder that we are merely assets to be managed. If the state can prohibit the most natural, inevitable human experience, death, simply for the sake of municipal hygiene, what power do they think they have over your life? We are guests in our own bodies, subject to the whims of bureaucrats who fear the reality of our mortality more than they respect our humanity. And then there is the prohibition against changing a light bulb in Victoria, Australia, without a licensed electrician. You aren't trusted to screw in a glass bulb. The state owns your home, your actions, and your autonomy. You are a guest in your own life, subject to the whims of bureaucrats who have never met you. This is the ultimate infantilization of the citizen. By requiring a professional for a task that a child could perform, the state creates a dependency loop. It's a way of asserting that you are incapable, that you are reckless, and that only the state-sanctioned expert can ensure your safety. It is an erosion of basic self-reliance, replaced by a mandate of bureaucratic compliance. How do these laws even come into existence? Most of them are the result of knee-jerk reactions to forgotten crises. A horse is stolen? Ban ice cream in pockets. A plague hits? Ban congregating in public. A scandal involving a certain type of fabric? Ban it. The crisis fades, the panic dies down, the logic is forgotten, but the law sits in the archives, waiting for a bored police officer or a malicious neighbor to weaponize it. It is a form of institutional trauma. We are living in a house built on shifting sands, where the foundation is constantly cracking. The history of these laws is a history of human fear. Every bizarre prohibition is a monument to someone's anxiety, someone's desire to control a world they didn't understand. Consider the sodomy laws that remained on the books in various US states long after the Supreme Court had effectively rendered them unenforceable. For years, they sat there, a silent threat to the LGBTQ+ community, a reminder of a time when the state felt empowered to legislate the most intimate details of human affection. These laws weren't just useless, they were tools of intimidation. They kept people in the closet, not because they were being prosecuted, but because the mere existence of the law suggested that the state was watching, judging, and waiting for an excuse. We aren't just dealing with rules, we are dealing with the crystallized neuroses of our ancestors. And you are the one paying the price. You are living in a cage you can't see, restricted by invisible bars that have no purpose. The question isn't why these laws exist, the question is why we allow them to remain. What happens if we start pulling at these threads? What if the entire legal tapestry begins to unravel? Is there a hidden agenda behind the maintenance of these absurdities, or are we just witnessing the slow, agonizing collapse of a system that has grown too bloated to govern itself? When a legal system becomes too complex to understand, it becomes a tool for the elite. Only those with the resources to hire teams of lawyers can navigate the minefield, while the rest of us are left to hope we don't accidentally step on a landmine of archaic legislation. Think about the last time you felt truly free. Was it when you were following the rules, or when you were completely unaware of them? There is a secret law in a small town in the Pacific Northwest that has never been enforced, yet it is used every decade to seize private land from unsuspecting families. It's not just a quirk, it's a mechanism of theft. It sits dormant like a virus, waiting for a property developer or a corrupt official to flip the switch. What if I told you that the most dangerous law in your own city is one you've never even heard of, waiting for the perfect moment to be invoked? Consider the concept of administrative law. These are not laws passed by elected representatives, but regulations created by unelected agency heads. They have the force of law, yet they are often written in language so dense that even the people enforcing them struggle to interpret them. This is how the bureaucracy grows. It is a self-replicating organism. Every year, thousands of new regulations are added to the code, and almost none are ever removed. We are experiencing a phenomenon called regulatory creep. It's the slow, steady encroachment of the state into every facet of human existence, from the light bulbs in your ceiling to the way you conduct your business, to the way you live your final days. There is a disturbing anecdote from a small village in France where a law dating back to the 18th century required all residents to provide a specific type of grain to the local church. The law was forgotten for 200 years, until a local official, looking for a way to fund a renovation, decided to enforce it. The residents were shocked, but the law was clear. They had to pay, or face the consequences. This is what happens when you leave the wreckage of the past lying around. It doesn't just gather dust, it gathers resentment. It creates a society where justice is not about fairness, but about who can dig the deepest into the archives to find a weapon. Why are we so obsessed with maintaining this facade of order? Perhaps it is because the alternative, admitting that the law is a chaotic, irrational mess, is too terrifying to contemplate. If the law isn't a solid, logical foundation, then what is it? It's just an opinion, written down on paper, enforced by people with guns. That realization is enough to shake the foundations of any society. And so, we keep the ice cream laws, we keep the guinea pig laws, and we keep the laws about how we must smile or how we must die. We keep them because we are afraid of the vacuum that would be left behind if we admitted that we don't really know what we're doing. We are living in an era of unprecedented surveillance, where every digital footprint is logged, analyzed, and stored. Combine this with the archaic, bizarre, and contradictory laws we have discussed, and you have a recipe for total control. You don't need a dictator if you have 1,000 tiny, irrational laws that everyone breaks every day. You just need to choose which person you want to target, and you can find a law to justify their ruin. That is the true danger. The absurdity isn't the point, the power is. The fact that the law is a minefield is not a flaw in the design, it is the feature. Look at the history of the blue laws in the United States, which prohibited the sale of alcohol on Sundays. They were rooted in religious dogma, yet they persisted in secular states for decades. Why? Because they provided a sense of control, a way to enforce a specific moral code on the entire populace, regardless of their personal beliefs. These laws were never about public health or safety, they were about the imposition of a particular worldview. Now, translate that to the thousands of other bizarre laws we've explored. They aren't about safety or logic, they are about the projection of power. They are a way for the state to say, we own your time, your space, your body, and your choices. The legal system is like a sprawling, overgrown garden that hasn't been pruned in a century. The weeds have choked out the flowers, and the path is completely obscured. You are walking through this garden, trying to find your way, but everywhere you turn, you are being scratched by thorns you can't even see. The only way to survive is to stop walking, to stop living, to stop being a person and start being a compliant subject. But that is not a life. That is a slow death of the spirit. We must ask ourselves, what kind of society do we want to live in? One that is governed by the ghosts of dead men, where our every move is restricted by laws written for a world that no longer exists. Or one that is governed by reason, fairness, and the protection of the individual. The choice is ours, but first, we have to recognize the cage. We have to see the absurdity for what it is. We have to stop accepting these laws as just the way things are and start demanding that the system be cleaned, pruned, and brought into the light of the 21st century. If we don't, we are doomed to remain the rats in the labyrinth, scurrying from one bizarre regulation to the next, never knowing when we might trigger a trap that has been waiting for us for centuries. The power of the law should be to protect, not to harass. It should be to provide order, not to create chaos. It is time to clear the archives. It is time to bury the dead laws and stop letting them dictate the lives of the living. Because if we don't, we are just waiting for the next longbow incident, the next ice cream fine, the next absurdity to remind us that we are not the masters of our own destiny. The labyrinth is waiting, and it's getting more complicated every day. Are you going to keep running, or are you going to stop and look at the walls you're trapped behind? The truth is, the bars aren't made of iron, they're made of paper, and it's time we started burning them down.